This week's video was inspired by conversation, and there's a question in here that I can't stop thinking about. What makes someone interesting? What are the components that make up an interesting person? Is it the way they look, what they choose to wear, the combinations of different clothes, colors, their haircut, and appearance? Is it their friends, how close they are to them, and maybe even their family? How they carry themselves, how confident and shouty they are or not, and that's something you can relate to. Or maybe it's their job, what they do, their interests, hobbies, and what they decide to do with their time and their days. It's all very personal, isn't it? What's interesting to you might not be interesting to someone else. But is there a quality that transcends all of that? Something that makes someone universally interesting? Maybe. I met someone recently who made me think about that. I think, first of all, what makes someone interesting to you has very much to do with your values, things you care about and are interested in. And even if you do meet someone who has those things that you notice you might lack, you're still interested in them because it's stuff you are interested in. I hope that made sense. But back to the story. The person who I met, to my surprise, did an incredible job at asking questions. They were curious and interested, which caught me a little bit off guard because it immediately added this depth to the interaction. Something I love, don't get me wrong, but you don't notice too often when meeting someone new. Questions like, what's one thing you love about yourself? And what's one thing you hate? Do you mostly cry when you're sad or happy? When was the last time you had sex? And how was it? They were interested, which in return made me curious about them. So in return, I asked questions like, do you consider yourself a happy person? Is there someone who you would message, I love you right now, with no further context? If you could use help in one area of your life, where would it be? I actually want to make a separate video about how to ask better questions. If you have any tips or tricks, just leave them as comments below. By the way, I would definitely see them again. That was a lovely day. So, are people who are interested automatically more interesting? I think I can generally say yes, but only if you're interested in the same things. For example, I'm quite the open book. I can meet someone new, and if the conversation seems to flow in the right direction, I can very easily open up about topics and stories in my life that I would talk to my best friends about. Sure, that personal depth when you know someone really good and they can understand you is missing, but generally speaking, I'm very open to share. In this example, I wouldn't mind someone asking me more personal questions about my past, family, love, previous relationships, because that's exactly the kind of people I'd like to get to know. Of course, it's not stuff I immediately talk about to new people, but if it's a comfortable space, why not? I'm interested in people who are curious about depths and deeper questions. Small talk is good, but I generally mostly reserve it for people who I see very infrequently, like my neighbors, or people who I see every day. And in that case, not every conversation will be at peak depth, which is also totally fine. If someone doesn't carry these same values, has been through different experiences, and is just at a different point in their life, these questions might seem intrusive, too personal, and they just might be closed off to answering any of them. What a weird dude. Will probably ask me to marry him next and how many kids I want to have. So, what's my little takeaway here? I think the very first thing we notice about someone is their appearance. I mean, how are we supposed to be interested in someone if they don't first catch our eye? Whatever it is about them, there's something you like or relate to. Until you get to know them, that's all the information you really have. Maybe it's their energy and how they're carrying themselves. I've often just spoken and approached interesting people because of overhearing something cool they're talking about, or they're just genuinely seem like a good vibe. After chatting for a little bit, for me the next thing would be to find out what they're interested in. What are their hobbies? What do they do in their free time and how they like to have fun? I think we all like to have fun, right? From there, I slowly build up to deeper questions and see what they value in their life. As the conversation goes, I pay attention to see if that ignites something in me, like a little spark. I think sometimes the spark doesn't exist from the beginning, but there is some level of comfort. Something that says signals to my brain and makes me curious. Something that says, oh, I want to ask them this and this. I wonder what they will say. Next thing you know, hours have passed by without you knowing, and you found yourself an interesting person. I hope some of this made sense, and who knows, maybe this whole video was a biased perspective as to what I'm personally interested in. In that case, I guess I've exposed myself. Otherwise, see you next week.
Сам я вам 3 в'ядення туди скипав.